Wow, you've actually taken me through every small step in the whole journey. I didn't know this much about apparel design till now. Like what happens inside NID and all the interesting briefs that you get in apparel designing. So from here on, I want to move towards your experience at NID. So when you entered first year masters apparel design, NID Gandhinagar campus. Okay, so how was the experience? I want to know. Let's say you had something in mind. You wanted something. Okay, and now you are there in the classroom, in the atmosphere, let's say, not let's not say it's a classroom, but in the atmosphere, the what do you say, the environment in NID, yeah, right? So how did it feel?
I think first of all, when I entered, when I saw, like, it was like a dream. I really wanted it. Like, I wanted it more than I wanted to get into NIFT. It was like that. NIFT happened, like, I wanted it at that time, but NID was a very conscious decision. So when I was there, I wanted to live it completely. So, what happens, like, when the classes start, I think NID has this very different environment, which we started realizing when we were there. It took some time, but like, everybody breathes design. There's so much of creativity in every corner, every place, every time. The best thing that NID had was we were very, very surprised initially when we saw that there is no fixed classroom hours. You know, like, you go to the studio at 2 a.m. in the night and you see students working there. I never saw all this in NIFT. So while we were having our first, foundation courses, when we were not in the department yet, initially there's a foundation course that happens for all of the departments together. So when that was happening, we just used to cross the studios, the design studios, which is specified for every discipline. So we used to see our seniors working late night and like, wow, like, how are they doing it? Like, they go to the mess, they have dinner, they come back and they're still working. So the life was very different there when I entered at the moment. I think anybody you talk from NID will say this, mostly from Gandhinagar campus, Ali also. So yeah, I think the course begins with the foundation program that happens. Foundation is in the first semester. So the first week goes with the introduction to design. Introduction to design is where for the entire week we go through different industry experts, and industry experts come, they share their experiences, their visits. There are also a few documentaries that are shown in the first week, how things were made. Like, we were shown this documentary on Helvetica, the font, how it originated. So yeah, we come across very interesting things and very, like, different domains. Like, design is not just limited to one thing like that. So every discipline is there. So experts from different industry, documentaries from different sectors, and movies. So everything is put together and we are introduced to design in a way. You start looking at design and the aspects of it and the how it is spread, the entire horizon, everything. By the end of week, it's a very interesting activity which actually happens every year. It's a very simple assignment. You're just asked to design a poster on what is design. It's just a small poster, A3 size, what is design. You do that, and the interesting thing in this is you are actually supposed to put up that poster So imagine there are 100 students in a batch, combined all the departments that comes. So you're supposed to put up that poster in a public space in the campus, so everybody can come and look and give their feedback. So that is how NID introduced us to like criticism, or learning from each other, or self reflection, things like that. So it sounds very small. You need to make a poster and you need to put it up in front of the entire community. But it was something that actually gave you the like a trailer of what is going to happen in the next coming years of NID or the coming semesters. So it was very interesting. Yeah.
So this was in the first semester when you were
Yeah.
first week. Okay.
This is just the first week, introduction to design. So this happens. Now after this, what happens the first semester entirely is all of the foundation courses that happens, and side by side you're introduced to your departments and the basics of it. So the common courses that happens are like introduction to visual design. So the idea of foundation is there are people, especially in the master's program, which come from different domain, different field, to bring everybody together on the same page. So everybody has the basic skill set, the basic understanding of design and everything. We begin with introduction to visual design after we have had our introduction to design. So visual design, we have a set of faculties, guest faculties. Mostly, like 3-4 of them who visit the campus every year, and they're very, very cool people actually. So we are introduced to like drawing and drawing with different mediums like nature drawing, perspective, indoor, outdoor, human form, posture study, quick sketches. Explore different mediums, pencil, charcoal, colors. Yes, all the basic stuff. And that is what happens in the visual design. Then it keeps on like progressing, and once you're done with just the sketching part, then you get into color and form. You start understanding the color theory, the color interaction. Form happens. Form is a very interesting thing, which actually is conducted by Amresh, who is LED coordinator. Yeah. So Amresh is like, he makes you think, why did you do this? Why not this? So whatever you say, the word that comes out of your mouth, he'll actually, put it back on you like that. So
he was one of the panel members in my interview.
Wow. I'm sure you know how it is. So yeah. So we were like, we just wanted to get done with it. हमें तो ये पढ़ना ही नहीं है, this is for the LED people. So we are just here for a week, and then LED guys are going to deal with our English for a while. So he had a different way of teaching. Very interesting, very like pushes you why like that. But it was very interesting in a way that we were actually learning. It was a very interdisciplinary thing. So there were different ideas, there were different kind of different ways in which people were dealing, and there were different deliverables which were coming out of every student. And you can actually see people who were in different disciplines, like apparel had a very different sort of take on their assignments. Transportation design had a different take. So that was there. So yeah, we studied color and form. Then I think this was there. After this, this happened. There was a final assignment, which was a group activity where you had to come up with a composition, and that was the end of the foundation. It takes, I think, around good 2 months or something to finish all the courses in here, 2.5 months. Then side by side in between, we used to get our department classes also, like the discipline specific. Like I was in apparel design, so we used to have the basics in that. So that begins with basic pattern making, pattern making is like the flat making of patterns of the garments that you make. So you're taught that mostly these were 1.5 week or 2 weeks modules. Then there was garment construction. So garment construction was actually where you were introduced with the machines, and it was like honing on the skills, more hands-on, yeah. So also the material exploration, how you deal with different materials, like more apparel specific. Then there was draping, like how we did pattern making. There was draping where we were actually taught how to understand the human body, the proportion, how to achieve the fit of it, or the shape of the garment, and how it is important. Basically, even how to handle a fabric. Like this is how you put it, or this is how delicately you should use it, or how consciously you should use it, not to waste a lot of it. Our faculties in the process were very keen always on this key. There shouldn't be a lot of wastage. So this was a way things were done in NID. They were very mindful of what they're doing. Like we were provided the basic cloth that we have is muslin. It's a grey fabric that we use for all the test fits, and the pattern making sheet, which is a brown paper, thick paper, in which we cut patterns. So these two things were provided by NID itself. So we could just go to the department and get it issued. So, and you just sign the
So this is all part of the second first semester itself. Okay.
Yes.
When we are introduced to the department basics.
Introductions. Okay. All right.
Yes.
These are just the introductory parts. Yeah. So this is basic pattern making, basic garment construction, draping, everything. So when we're issuing the materials also from the studio, they're very mindful of do not create wastage. Whatever you're taking, use it. Explore things, do it, but don't waste it. So that was actually a very good learning to make us more mindful of the resources that we were using. So I think this was pretty much what happened in the first semester. No, there was one more thing. There was design process. Now this was one of the very interesting module, I would say, and this is I can say the speciality what NID has to offer. So the design process that we had in the first semester was a common one. It was a common module in which there were groups that were made, and the groups were actually made very strategically, I would say. There were there were a group of 7 people. So now in my group, I'm from apparel, so there will be one person from transportation design, one from accessory design, and then one from new media design, toy and game design. So when we're actually working on a project, so everybody has something different or a different perspective that they bring to the table. So and design process, the interesting thing was it actually made us look at things in a different way, in very simple things. The topics were, like cutting nails or reading. My topic was reading a newspaper. And there was like the chime, the culture that we had in NID. It was how is chime made in culture. So they were very simple topics, and then you had to go in there, you had to shadow them, you had to identify a problem, you had to find a solution. So from identifying a problem to finding a solution and everything in between. That is what design process was, and in a very simple or daily activities.
You can put it in a nutshell, I think. Yeah.
Yes, so that is what design process was. It was very interesting. It was 1.5 week, but it introduced us, everybody, to what are the processes involved and how minutely you should look at things when you're actually trying to solve a problem. So this was very interesting.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So once you have all the basics, we talked about these things in detail, like what all the things that that you go through. So after this, now you're, I think, introduced to core topics in the core modules in the second semester.
Yes. So what happens is the first semester is almost the end of all the common modules. Apart from just a couple of things that remains, like there's SLA that we call Science of Liberal Arts, that goes on for all the 4th semester. It's a 1-week module taken by Dr. Mihir Bhole. And SLA is something like it shows you, different perspectives in design, or Eastern and Western aesthetics, or basic questions about art, design, beauty, and how it has evolved in the modern world. So this was there in all the semesters, 1-week course. So every semester kind of began with SLA, Science and Liberal Art. This was also not a very famous thing amongst everyone. This was one of those classes where everybody used to sleep, SLA, just go and sleep. It was a very compared to other things, it was a very boring lecture where we just used to go into the class and sleep, or just bunk classes, just get the attendance and jump out. So this was it. So yes, first semester wrapped up everything basic. Second is more departmental for everybody. So now SLA is there. Then there are a couple of other modules that happens, like I think design management and research methodology. This goes on as a common module in the upcoming semester. Otherwise, everything becomes department specific and everybody is full-fledged in the department. So design management is where we are actually introduced to brands and branding and how to go about it and things like that. So it is I think it's obvious why it is kept generic to everybody, because it's a general thing that all of us learn. And research methodology, again, when we are taught, primary research methods, secondary methods, and literature review, everything. So yeah. So these are the only common modules that happens. Then coming to what happens in apparel in the second semester is we are introduced to illustration techniques. Like now is when first semester we learn just the basics, drawing perspective and objects and everything. The second semester is where you learn making full-fledged design figures, apparels, garments, illustrations, fashion figures, croquis, all of that. So more domain-specific illustrations, and also using different kind of mediums in it. So it is a way where you're taught how to represent your designs and your ideas. So that is what happens in the beginning. Then also second semester has common elective that happens. That is across all 3 campuses of NID. So this also happens in the first month. This is a very exciting, this is a very exciting time. Everybody is very excited about it. So it's like one of those Tatkal booking that happens, No, that is how I relate to it. You have a list of all the electives, and today 4 p.m. it is going to open, and everybody has choices. I had a list, ranking 1, 2, 3. What if this goes off till 10? I had till 10 actually, and so then you are sitting. So we were not actually sitting in our rooms and trying to make which elective we want to take. But we were all sitting in the IT so that we have fastest internet and everything, and we get the desired elective. So common elective is very exciting. So this one chance where either you take up some kind of elective which is domain specific, or you take something which is you want to learn something just out of the blue, like a very new skill. Mine was stained glass. Like it was very different. And I was like, I'm already doing like something which I've been doing for years, so I wanted to do something new. So it was, So the common elective actually teaches you how to collaborate with others, and how multidisciplinary thing, I will say. People from all over different campuses. Like we had people from NID Bangalore also in our campus. People from NID Gandhinagar were in Paldi were in Bangalore. So it was all mixed up. You make new friends, you meet new people. It's a very different environment that happens month of second semester. So it's a fun module. it shows us how to come together with different kind of people, different organizations, different departments, and learn new things. It's an exploration. It's a very good way. So yeah, coming back to the department. Then after we are done with illustrations, we come back to the few theory papers that happens, like introduction to textile and history of costumes. So introduction to textile was taken by, I think it was a professor from NIFT Bangalore, Mr. Mohan. So he was there on campus. So now this is the interesting thing that I find in NID. We have guest lecturers for every module, and they are experts in their field, and they're always invited for a week or something, and we get this chance of interacting with them. So yeah, introduction to textile was with this professor from Bangalore. So it was interesting. They were taught about like I told you, there were people from different domains. Like most of them were engineers and everything. So keeping all that in mind, so it was a 1 week module, nice, short and crisp. So you're introduced to different organic fibers like linen, cotton, silk, their properties, how you should handle them, how they're procured, and everything. So this was introduction to textiles. Then we had history of costumes. History of costumes was again the same evolution and everything, how we've evolved, or in different regions, if you go to different states of India, or let's say you go to Andaman or Nicobar, so they have a different way of dressing. So why something is there, how they've evolved, and also at different places, the kind of costumes or dresses people wear, it's a very regional thing, and there's a regional, logic behind it. Why at that particular kind of period of time, why this was chosen. So there's a lot of reasoning behind everything, which actually we do not know. Then pattern making and garment construction, these modules are continued and they're more advanced. Like basic pattern making, we learn basic bodies, so now there are variations, you start making more complicated things, more variations. Same with draping. Draping was very interesting in second semester. So it was taken by Anuj Sharma. Anuj Sharma is NID alumni. He graduated I think long back. That is what I will say, from NID. So he has his own brand called Button Masala, which is very famous. He's a very famous designer. So he has this concept of making a garment without stitching. So there's zero stitch. He just has buttons and rubber bands, and you combine them and you make a garment. It was a very different technique, very new, and he's very famous for this thing. That was his innovation. So draping module is conducted by him. He's the guest faculty there, and so it's a module of 2 weeks, I would say, and there's a lot of exploration. So now draping is something where you have the dress forms, you drape the fabric on the body and you start cutting the extent and make a garment out of it. Now till now draping was happening on the body form, on the dress form. But Anuj Sharma actually takes it one step ahead and we start draping things on each other. So human body is actually not as proportional as the dress forms. They are the ideal figures, we are not. So in terms of height, weight, everything it varies. So adjusting that to actual human figures and everything. So it was a very interesting module. It was fun. We had to choose one partner and we were draping each other. So it was very interesting. So that was draping. And so this is what happened in this. And I think, by the end of semester, we have our first design project. Now, all the 3 semesters which are there, semester 2, 3, 4, will always have design project by the end of semester. So design project is like the sum of everything that you've learned. It's an application of that. So we call it design project 1, design project 2, design project 3. Okay, yeah. So this is one more thing that happens is it is a sponsored project mostly. If an ID get good sponsors, so you get those projects and you work with them according to the client. So like client comes to NID with something that they want to get done and it is given to the students as a collaborative work and you work on that as a design project. Our first design project was a self project. It was not a sponsored project, but mostly it is. So depends. If college has a project ongoing at that time, so you get a chance to work on that, which is a very good thing I would say, because while being in college, you get a chance to do things in the industry. So like you can explore here. And also you meet the real clients, you have a meeting, you have to understand the requirements, you're catering to someone like first hand. So that is great, that an idea of this. Yes. So design project first was our self project. So it was like, starting from choosing a topic, why you choosing it, reaching there, like doing a lot of mind mapping and everything, coming up with keywords, finalizing something out of it, making a story, then a mood, then a theme, then deriving colors, everything, and then finally making a collection out of it. And then after you've made the collection with everything that you've learned prior to this in terms of garment construction, pattern making, draping, you have to make two final garments, like you make the garments. So it is actually a combined usage of everything that you've learned so far. That is what design project is. So yeah, even in terms of making the color board, you go back to the color theory that you were taught in the foundation. So everything relates, it's everything put together. So the DPs are very important, I would say. It's very interesting because, yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes, it's absolutely. It's a very learning experience. So it might not be fun at the time with the deadlines and everything, but it is a very learning experience, definitely.
So this concludes your 1 year at NID Apparel.
Yes, absolutely, yes.
Right?
Yes, so in 1 year you have had all the basics, you have all the basics of the department, and you have had a design project. So basically you have a fair understanding of everything that goes on.
So the second year starts, so you have a break in between?
Yes. So our semester break happens in May. You have, I think, 8 weeks of break, and you're supposed to do a summer internship in this. So, and then you come back for the third semester. Yeah.
So what about the third semester? Like I'm guessing the graduation project starts later on in the fourth.
No. Graduation project is not a part of the semesters. It is a different thing altogether. You finish your 4 semesters, then you are kicked out and you go and get this project done. Yeah.
So after the first year, you go for an internship, right? You have 8 weeks ka time to do an internship.
Yes.
So you had interned with Titan and Royal Enfield.
Correct, yes.
Right? So how did you manage that?
So what happened was by the second semester itself, students start looking for internship and their options, because immediately as the semester gets over, you have to start your internship. It's a period of 8 weeks and you're supposed to intern for 6 to 7 weeks at least. So I started reaching out to a lot of companies that I was interested in, and luckily I got through 2 of them. So I got confirmed with, I think, Tenaira first, although I was waiting for Royal Enfield at that time. So Tenaira is a division of Titan. And then later, quite late, I got confirmed with Royal Enfield. So by that time, when I had both the offers, I was like, I wanted to avail the opportunity, I would say. I wanted to intern with both of them, as both of them were really good brands. So I had a break of 8 weeks, and I did internship for almost 10 to 12 weeks. So the day my college got over, I think it was a Friday, I
Just flew to Bangalore on Monday. I joined with Tanira. Tanira was my
Nice.
first internship. Yeah, I didn't go home, obviously.
Nice.
So,
Tanira was my first internship there, and Tanira was very interesting. Tanira is a division of Tata Group. They were starting at that time. They had launched their first store in Bangalore, in Indranagar, and they were about to launch their second one in Jayanagar. So they were what they were doing is they were into Indian textiles, saris predominantly. So they were in a very budding phase, but they were a leading brand. Why it was interesting for me was because they were still establishing themselves, they did not have a preset of rules. This is what we want, or this is what the brand image is, or this is what you need to adhere to or cater to. So I had a lot of freedom with the brand because they were still creating an image. They were very young, they were very fresh, and they were very open to ideas. So I was given a corner. They had a very interesting, very cool studio in Indranagar. They had a sort of bungalow sort of thing, and that was their design studio. So everybody had the rooms where it was a proper house where I think somebody used to live in. So the hall was set up with a long table where the meetings used to happen. There was balcony and everything. So I had a room with a window facing towards the road, and there was a small table. So that was my corner. It was very interesting. The workplace was interesting. The work was interesting. So it was fun. So my deliverable was you find out what the brand needs. You find out what our client needs. The client that we have, but you go, you conduct your researches, and then you deliver it with some ready-made garments that they wanted to keep it in the store. So they knew what they wanted to keep, but then it was just a big bracket. And then inside that umbrella, I could do anything. So starting from the research part of it to till the final deliverable, I had to go from market surveys to procuring the fabrics to finding a vendor. They had few vendors, but to meet the vendors and get few sampling done, everything was happening in that 6 weeks of time. And I had complete freedom to do it. So it was very interesting, it was very hands-on, and I owned it. You can own it, your designs. Yeah. You just need to show them. Definitely need to show them what are you doing. But it was a great experience.
But yeah, I mean, it's a very you also get to explore a lot because you said that the brand is still establishing.
yes.
So that's a amazing opportunity to learn.
Cool. Yes.
Absolutely. On contrary to this, my second internship was Royal Enfield. So they had a very established image. They are like, this is what we are. This is what we have been for decades. You can't play around with it. So I remember I finished my internship with Tanira. It was a Friday. Saturday I took a flight to Delhi. And Monday I joined RE. So it was it's like a movie that is playing in my head, because I remember when I went to my HOD in NID in Apparel, and I told him I want to do both the internships. He was like, बाद में मत बोलना मैंने तुम्हें warn नहीं किया था. Students commit कि we'll do this, and in the end they're like, sir नहीं हो रहा. So don't come back to me crying. So I was like, okay. So yeah, I still remember. So yeah, Monday I joined RE. RE was after coming from Tanira, it was a different world. So you enter, you have bikes in the studio, you have all cool helmets and cool doodles and all mounting pictures and trekking gears and everything. So it's a different environment inside the studio again. Now I was there. what happened with Ari was that year, Royal Enfield was going to launch their first ever women's wear collection. They have their merchandise of menswear, like basic t-shirts and everything, but women's wear was not available. So they were going to launch their bike that year. I think it wasn't Himalaya. It was Himalayan, I believe, or something like that. Yeah. So they were with that bike. They were supposed to launch this women's wear collection. So again, it was a nice opportunity, but there came the restrictions. They were an established brand. They had, this is the kind of fabric we use. This is the kind of graphics we do. This is the kind of colors we use. So either they are very muted, they have one or two accent colors, or because the language can't change. They already have a language that goes in the merchandise that we have for menswear, so it had to align. Even in terms of graphics, so you can't just come and make anything random. You sketch and you're like, oh, this is so cool, I'll print this on a t-shirt. No. Actually, the person, yes. So, yes. This person with whom I was working was Abhijit 3, who was the designer. He was a very good mentor, I would say. So, he also had a corner in his office. He was the head of design there, I think. Yeah, he was the senior designer manager. So he just used to work there silently. So I remember a conversation with him where I said, we'll make graphics for this. He was like, no, we don't make it like this. This graphic that you see of the mountain, there was actually a picture that I clicked when I was traveling to the Himalayas. I was like, what? So you actually, they had real inspirations, which was really nice. So when they travel to such places, then they come back with like tons of images. Then you pick out things from there. Then you start, editing it in more like a sketch format or something. You play around with it, and then you come up with the graphic. So it's real. It wasn't something you made up, which I found was a very different way, but it was very cool. So, as I told you, in Tanaira, just 2 days back, I had so much of freedom. In Ari, I was in awe of things on daily basis. Wow, you don't get to play around, but the way things were structured, it was cool. So I helped them putting that collection together, and that was going to launch. There was less time, so I was in the office 4 to 5 weeks, but the rest of work, I told you, college had 8 to 10 weeks of vacation that we got. So my 10 weeks were over. I went back to college. My classes started, and then the rest 2 weeks while I was in college, that is when I finished the work that I was doing with Royal Enfield. It was digital. So I started doing it after classes and everything, and then I mailed them everything, and that is how I actually made 2 internships happen.
So you're back to NID again,
back to
right?
college.
You're in 3rd semester now with this 2 months of crazy experience, 2 completely different experiences.
Yes, very different.
I think by that time I had already realized it wasn't a bad idea to do 2 internships. I had 2 very different exposures and very good ones.
So let's try to sum up now the 3rd semester.
Yeah.
So
should we go quick?
So what were the main learnings that you were able to?
Yes.
3rd semester, I think, as I told you, the semester advanced with the few of the basic courses which were ongoing. So we were in depth with research methods, we were in depth with design management courses, with pattern making, with garment construction, all that was going. We were introduced to a new module in this semester, which was intimate apparels. So till now, we were not dealing with any knit fabrics in the 1st or 2nd semester. This is when we are introduced to knits, their handling, making lingerie or sportswear, all those segments that was introduced in this semester. we had a very, very cool faculty who came to take this module. Her name was Maya. Maya wasn't her original name, although she was a German woman in her 70s or something. And she had more energy than me and you, and I think my entire apparel design class combined. We were supposed to start the module from Monday, and Sunday night we suddenly get a text on our WhatsApp, sexy ladies. Like, what is this? So she made that WhatsApp group because it was a lingerie module, and interestingly, we were an all girls department that year in apparel. So she added all of those, and then she called us after dinner to the studio on a Sunday night just to meet everyone. She was like, let's do the introduction now. I just want you to meet all you lovely ladies so that tomorrow morning when you come to class, we start with work at 9. She had so much energy, like so much fun. So I think, that was one of the major module that happened in that semester. It was very learning, very much insightful in a lot of ways. And I think then what happens is we begin with one important thing in this semester is craft documentation. Craft documentation happens after you finish your third semester, you go on a craft visit, like to visit a cluster or something, and you document. So this is a semester where you start picking the craft that you want to work on. So you submit proposals, you start doing initial research and everything. So the beginning of craft documentation happens in this semester. And then, as I said, design project. That is the key thing in every semester. It actually expands, like maybe in the second semester, the first design project was I think 4 weeks. The second design project I think becomes 6 weeks or something like that. So this design project for us was a sponsored project. It was with Seva NGO. So we had the chief ladies of Seva, like the management people, coming to our college and telling the requirements. So basically what they wanted was to create some, they had a brand, they used to sell products, but they wanted us to, how to uplift the brand, how to help the artisans, how to enhance them. Like, let's say they lot of ornamentation things on fabric, but how can we do something which actually uplifts the artisans and the brands, because all the money that comes from the products or the sale, it goes back to the artisans and their families. It was a very interesting project. So we met with Seva's MD and everything. We came to college. We began with our research and everything. We started designing. Like the whole process was there. We were actually visiting the artisans in there. It was called Sevani Haveli. It was in the old Ahmedabad city. So we used to go there and work with them. We used to make our designs and they used to create it for us. Like the embroideries or the appliques or whatever you wanted. The fabrics and everything were provided with them. So it was a very interesting thing. It was very learning how to get things done, by collaborating with others or with others' help. So you can't just go and order someone out, aap ye bana do. No. You have to learn the way of how to deal with people in a more practical and human way and how to get things done. That is how the industry is. You always are dependent on someone. So this was the major thing that happened in our semester 3, the design project. It was with Seva and it was nice. Yeah, that was one thing that I picked to mention. Other than that, everything was continued. SLU was there, pattern making was there, yes. Also, there was this, I think, geometry was there in this semester. Geometry in terms of how can you, incorporate those things in garments. So we were taught how to make tessellations, origami, and everything. Tessellations were you can make normal tessellations and convert them into prints. Like it could be used in multiple ways, in different ways. So that was there. Origami techniques were taught. Now, we did not use origami to a different level, but interestingly, our juniors made like complete garments out of origami. So, like it could fold, it could open out, like things like that, features. It was very interesting. I think that is also one interesting module that happens in this semester.
So what new modules does the fourth semester have? Now that is being the last semester. Final one.
Yes.
In between this, the craft documentation happens.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
So, what happens is after we finish our third semester, I think it gets over in December, you have a period of 3 weeks almost before the next semester begins. Like I said, we were already choosing the craft which we wanted to work on. So everybody had a specific area or a specific craft which they've chosen. So mine was in Jaipur. I was documenting this full costume in Jaipur. I also had a friend who was documenting Kalveria tribe's costume in Jaipur again. So we went to our respective places. We stayed there, we met the artisans. Before going to respective cities, we already had few contacts which we procured online or through contacts, something somehow. And then we go actually to the place where the artisans are working, where the things are there, where things happen, you find people, you meet people, you get insights, and you document things, you get photos, everything. So it's a documentation process, and then you come back with all the data, you make a document, and it is one of the major things. Without this, they don't let you start the graduation project.
I can imagine. This is so interesting. So let me put it this way: like first year you finish, okay, and then you have crazy internships, right? And then you come back to college. You have this third semester. Then in the break, you have this craft documentation, right?
That's what. So you just get one holiday. That's after the first semester. That's the one break. After that, once NID happens, it just happens. That's your life. You don't have a life outside that. Nothing. That's it. So it is crazy till you graduate, till you finish your graduation project, till you submit your thesis, your final document. It's not just 2.5 years. It's like good 3.5 years. You are dead. You are inside. You don't have a life.
Yeah.
So craft documentation. I think everybody got almost a week to go home with their parents. So that happened. Then we come back to the fourth semester. I think fourth semester, the major thing again is the design project ends. Now the semester actually sums up with the final advanced pattern making or the advanced garment construction. But by now, like we are already through with the basics and everything. We already made garments. Like in design project 3, as I mentioned with Seva, design project 2. So we were supposed to make all of the garments, like a collection of 9 ensembles. So you were supposed to create all of that. Like in the first design project, we were supposed to make two final products, but in this, we were supposed to make all of it with the test fit, with everything. So by the time you reach fourth semester, I think you have a good hands-on skill developed. You are not a pro, but yeah, you know what you're doing, like that. So the main thing of semester 4 is, I think, DP3. DP3 is also important because this is one of the most important thing that NID offers to us. It is system design. System design is, I think, NID's USP in a way. And that is why it is actually long. I'm not sure how many weeks it is, but it was like good 1.5 months that DP3 goes on. It starts by the second month of the semester itself with the research and everything. So our DP3 design project 3 was again a sponsored project. It was with Asai Kasai. These were like it's a Japanese company and they have their fabric made. So they came us with the idea, okay, we have this fabric, we want to do something else with it, but then we don't know what kind of products we should get into, like that. So they wanted to get into garments, like they had textile, they wanted fine products. So this was a systems design project for us. So what happens in system design, like how is it different from other design projects? There's a very systematic approach to it. Others were more like a design process. They had a mood board, the theme board, and everything. And then, like what we did with Seva, we had the client, so we created a mood and we started conceptualizing and making things for them. What happened in system design is we started going in depth about anything and everything. Like take good 2 to 3 weeks just for the research to find out what are we going to do, like what are we going to make, even the product. So 1 week was just brainstorming on that. My thing that I was working on was sleepwear for making for them. So by the time we realized it's going to be sleepwear, because the kind of fabric they had some properties it was very comfortable, it was very breathable. So it actually was going to cater to that segment. So we decided on that, this is what we're going to do. Now after that, right from making the questionnaire, finding out people's sleep habit, or how many people actually spend on sleepwear, like a lot of people don't do. We wear old clothes at home and sleep, and that's a sleepwear, yeah? That's a mentality. So even if you're making a product, you need to know if it's really going to, sell in the market. So there was so much in the background that we had to do. So that systematic approach to finding out the needs, to catering the needs, to the final product, to everything, that is systems design. And I think that was this time the main thing that happened in the final semester. There were people who had, like, our class was divided into groups. So like a group was doing kids wear, so they were doing kids wear like with some medicinal properties induced in the fabric itself. So there were more things that we were experimenting, coming up with. So that was the whole idea behind this project. So mine finally started with sleepwear and ended up with maternity sleepwear because it had to be functional. For me, I wanted to make something more functional, which has more value to it. So it was for pregnant ladies. So that is how everybody came to it. It had a purpose, it had a reason behind what we were doing, why we were doing, how we were doing it, everything. So even if you had a button on your garment, it was questioned, why is it there? Why did you choose it to be there? Or the seam or the finish of it. So by this time in apparel design, by the time you finish your semesters, I think that thing is developed. You start questioning things, you start thinking, like taking a step back and thinking, why are you putting this there? Everything should have a reason or a cause. It's not just the aesthetic part of it, it's the functionality as well.
Right. Very interesting. And also now I'm observing that the previous design project with Seva, their brief was a little different, and in this one their brief was more of how to uplift the artisans.
Yes.
Right. And then here you have a completely different thing. They have the material, but they don't have the application of it. Right. They have their fabrics, but very interesting.
I think that is what I mentioned in the beginning. When you do sponsored projects, you actually see that you come across different kind of clients and they have different kind of needs. So a lot of times people don't know what they want. So you have to find out for them. And even if, let's say when we had normal phones, we did not know that we need a QWERTY keypad. When we had a QWERTY keypad, we did not know that we wanted a touchscreen phone. So somebody was actually foreseeing things, and that is what happens in all of the design industry. So it's the same there. Your clients don't always know what they want. You have to figure it out, and that's what I think system design or this whole design process does.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. So then this is the time you reach your final
Yes.
step of your NID ka masters.
Yes, your classroom is over, and with your design project too, usually your apparel design gets over with the final exhibition or show, which comprises of all of the garments that you have made in your design project. So either you have a fashion show for the college itself, or you have a final exhibition where you exhibit your garments for the entire community, like the NID community.
Nice. So then this is the time you go to Arvind Lifestyle. So how was it like?
So initially nobody goes immediately. Everybody takes a break.
Yeah. You need a break.
Yeah, of course.
I hope you didn't fly on the Saturday and started on Monday again.
I took a good 2 months. I came back home. So what happens is, after you've finished your first semester's with NID, this is what happens. It's not like any other college or any other design school where you have a time frame which you're bounded to. It's little flexible here. You're given like almost 1.5 years. Another time it was like good 1.5 years in which you can go do your graduation project, finish it, and come back to college, do your thesis, and then submit the final document. Then get a jury date, give your final jury, and then go out of college. Why you're giving this much time is to be very mindful of the project that you're choosing, your graduation project. So you can't just choose anything and everything and just get done with it. You get your project approved through your department faculties, and then once they approve, yes, this project has scope, good enough to work on it for 6 months, then you go ahead with it. You submit a proposal and everything. So design project is actually like a full-time job where you're working. Yeah. So ideally it should be like you're there in a company or in an organization where you're just working and making your design collection, but I don't think it ever happens like that. You're actually working for them, and also side by side you're working on your project. Mostly it happens like that. So I was with Urban Lifestyle in Bangalore. Now Urban has got a lot of international brand that it caters to. So the brand I was working with was Aeropostale. Aeropostale is a menswear brand. So now when I was there, it was like I had to find it myself what brief I wanted to make for my graduation project. So you have to identify an area or a gap that you want to cater to, and then you would work on that. Side by side, you're working full time on their existing projects or the season that is going on. So that is exactly what happened. So I came up with a collection of travel wear. I saw Aeropostale is again like a brand which is established, which has a language. So there's not much you can play around. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to keep the same aesthetic that the brand has, but wanted to add a value to the existing product. So adding small details to the same thing, like Levi's has got like Levi's commuter collection that was recently launched. So when you see at those pants or those shirts, it would look like a basic shirt or pant, but when you get into detail, you see there's small details incorporated. It actually makes it commute friendly. So there was something similar that I was thinking Aeropostale can have. It was a very young, very cool brand, and it's a very the clientele is very young, between the early 20s or teens sort of. So these kids, they need to travel, they explore, they hike, they trek, everything. So that was one thing that I identified. This could be the area that we could specifically work on. So to sum it up, it was like you find the gap, you work on it, you come up with a final collection, you develop the rate. And between this, you are not on your own, you're doing anything and everything on your own, but you are with your, you go back. There should be mandatory three guide visits. You go back to your college, you meet your guide, you get it approved. Whenever you're stuck, you can always consult on phone. I think this is the best thing. There's a lot of the faculty and the professors are very reachable. You can call them, you can mail them, you can text them. Depends on how the rapport is with them. But they're always reachable to wherever you're stuck. Whenever you're stuck, you can just go and discuss. So even while I was in Bangalore, I remember I used to come back to college or talk to my guide like that. So that is how it was. The final collection was done, and after it gets over, now there might happen a lot of hiccups in the production process, but because it's your collection, you have to go through it from the procurement, from the sourcing till going to the factories, till end to end, till the final product is made, till packaging. Then you get the shoot done. So NID has got amazing people our photography design students who help us with that. So all that happened. When you start documenting it, so it takes I think it took almost 1 year to from starting of the project till you finish it, your requirements are done. So I think I finished it in 8 months, my project by event. Then I came back to college, the documentation part started. Until the jury happened, it took a good 1 year. So yeah, documentation part is very easy. I'm sure you must know, you've spoken to other people. So it's not it's not you just write a dog and you're done with it. It's it's super crazy.
Wow, you've actually taken me through every small step in the whole journey, and very interesting. And actually, I think I didn't know this much about apparel design till now. What happens inside NID and all the interesting briefs that you get in apparel design. It's amazing. It's mind-blowing for me and also for the listeners for sure, because we do get this question ki hota kya hai NID mein, na?
Yes. It's not just you. A lot of people ask, क्या करते हो? Tailor हो? उस कपड़े बनाते हो? So yeah, that's a very normal question.
So it's amazing, and you've actually broken it down in very detail and explained it very nicely, I would say. So I have one final question before we end this episode, is that you have apparel design at NID, okay? And then there is NIFT on the other side, fashion design and everything related to it, right? So the $1 million question, how is NID, apparel at NID different from that at NIFT?
I think the key thing that NID and NIFT have different is NIFT is very fashion oriented. NIFT has fashion in its name and it sticks to it. NID does not call it fashion design. NID calls it apparel design. I think what NID offers is a very holistic approach and very holistic way of looking at wearable products. And that is what is apparel. So it could be creating clothing even from nuts or even from spoons. It could be anything. If it is a clothing, it's apparel, and that is what NID, the idea is there. In NIFT, it was very aesthetic, fashion oriented. NID, what I felt personally was more functional and value oriented. Now both of them have the same thing. NID has got just one apparel design course, but NIFT has got 5 to 6 courses like fashion design, knitwear design, everything. Leather design has got some apparel, almost 3 courses, let's say, and textile design also. On contrary, NID is one. Now, both of them are actually top level colleges. So how do you differentiate? I would say you don't need to differentiate, but when you are having this question, it's mostly like which one should I go for? That's the question, yeah. So if you want to answer that question, the answer lies in your interest. If you're more fashion oriented, it's NIFT blindly. If you are someone who wants to learn a specific thing, like I want to get into knits, I want to get into sportswear, if you know something specifically what you want, the answer is NIFT. If you're someone who likes to explore things as a whole, or learn things as an art, and then find a choice, or then like a very holistic way of looking at things, or add value to your products and make it more functional, like that, not just polishing everything to look good. If you want to do beyond that, it's NID that gives you. So I think that is how I look at it. Might be different for others. The key thing here is the NID gives you apparel in masters. NID did not have a bachelor's in design and apparel. NIFT gives you bachelor's in design, in fashion design, in knitwear design, in textile design again. So if you're an early beginner, like right after 12th, you're going for college. So earlier it was NIFT blindly. Right now I think since like 1 or 2 years, I think it's been 2 years, since NID has also started the bachelor's in design, apparel and textile, but it is a combined department, apparel and textiles together. It is not in the NID's old center. They've started, I think, 3-4 new centers. One is in Assam, one is in Haryana, Kurukshetra, one is in Bhopal, and I think one is in Andhra Pradesh. So these 4 centers are having bachelor's in design in apparels and textiles domain. So now you have both the options in bachelor's again. But the catch over here is also right now you don't get to choose your department right away. So if you're applying for bachelor's in design in NID, let's say Kurukshetra or Bhopal, so they have a common foundation program, which is common. And on the basis of how you're performing in that, by the end of your first year, then you get to choose your department. They have communication design, I think one more department. So on that you get it. So you might not be in the specific domain. So I think yes, depending on what exactly you want to learn, if you have a clarity on that, then you choose your college. Should it be NIFT? Should it be NID? Both of them are like extremely good in what they're doing. They have different approaches, but even while I was at 2.5 years of NID in apparel design, I saw a lot of things which were there in NIFT. So it was a very compact thing, but it kind of covered everything that was taught in NIFT in 4 years, combined into years. So the content overall remains the same. The strategy and the way they are teaching it, the process, all that is different. They have different takes, different faculties, and different way of teaching things, but the overall content remains the same. So I think whichever college, irrespective of like whichever you go, NID or NIFT, I think just do it wholeheartedly. That's the key. So choose it with your interest, what you want, and just keep pursuing it.
Wow. Thank you for putting it out so in a simple manner that people can understand because what's the difference between these two, because it is the decision that most of the students do take in their journey. So I think this is definitely going to help them. And on this note, I would like to thank you for all the information that you have given out today. Like this is, I think people are going to love it for sure, because to me, there were so many new things that I learned today, and new perspectives, and the way NID takes you through all these. I've actually made notes while I was talking to you, so it was almost like listening to a masterclass or something on apparel.
Okay.
So this was very interesting for me, and thank you for taking time out and being on the show and sharing all this information. Thank you so much.
I think I hope it helps. Yes, I think it stretched quite a long as well. Like I didn't expect it to go so long. Yeah, yeah, but I hope it helps because I'm totally aware of the problems that students face when they are entering into design. There's so many preconceived notions, there's so many questions, there's so many ifs and buts, and there's no one that you can go back to and ask. It happened the same thing, like it happened with me, it happened with my friends, and it keeps happening because there are no fixed resources or that many number of people around who are reachable, who you can just go and ask everything. So I do hope it helps, and I think you're doing a tremendous job with this podcast, and I'm sure like a lot of students are going to come back to it for a lot of questions that they have. It's going to help them. So thank you for this.
I'm really glad that people like you are coming on board and willing to be on the podcast. It's again sharing that time, making the effort. So big shout out to all of you guys. Without you all, this wouldn't be possible. This wouldn't be possible.
I think I should say same to you. So definitely you are the one point that links every all of us together. So yeah, thank you for the initiative and everything that you're doing.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.